Hi, everyone. Okay, let me hit go live on Instagram. Suddenly, it's not letting me. That's okay. We're just live in some other places. So, hi, everyone. This is Melisa Keenan, and I have with me today Carina Jackson. And Carina and I both were just published in Modern Day High Priestess just a
Yes.
couple weeks ago, and that book hit international bestseller. So
Yes.
Carina is a brand new international best-selling author.
Thanks you, Melissa. Thank you.
Karina and I wanted to get on and talk about Magdalene, pleasure, talk a little bit about the pleasure pilgrimage. But
Yes.
first, I'd love, Karina, for you to introduce yourself and let everybody know kind of who you are and what you're all about.
All right. Thank you. So I'm Carina Jackson, and I'm actually outside of my full-time job, which is working for a nonprofit, is I'm a certified wellness coach. And that happened for me because of some personal issues that I had with my health that I ignored, um, which was 3 years ago. And I realized God usually doesn't take you through something unless there's a lesson behind it. So I felt like between my personal experience and getting more certification, I could help more women understand the importance of wellness. And wellness is not just about your health, it's also about financial wellness, emotional wellness, psychological wellness. So tapping into this environment of the modern day high priestess also allows me to reach out to women who realize the importance of their health and wellness and how that ties into the life they decide to lead. So I'm super excited to talk about your pilgrimage because this absolutely ties into women who are already at the point that they realize how important health is as well as pleasure.
Yes, it's so good. It's so good. And I love how real you are about it. Like that's the thing is we can have these like cognitive awarenesses about a principle, but then it's like a lifelong journey to allow that to embody and sink in and become a new way of being in the world. And I think that's so relatable. Like all of us are going through that.
Yes. The environment we're in is so chaotic. So if you are not intentional about creating happiness and peace and pleasure in your life, you will continue to suffer unnecessarily in some cases.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll take a little minute and introduce myself as well for those who are watching and don't already know who I am. I'm Melisa Keenan. I founded the Heart Open Publishing Enterprise at the beginning of 2024. So we're moving into beyond our second year as a publishing house, and it's been such a journey and such a beauty to. I'm also an intimacy coach, and I've ran an
Mhm.
intimacy coaching business for the last 8 years. But to run a business that's so much more involved with elevating others and building community. We do a lot of multi-author books like the one that Karina and I were both just in. And so I was the publisher of that book. And I love creating spaces, especially where women can come together and show up in sovereignty, where there's not a hierarchy, there's not a guru, because we're each our own inner guru. And so that's what I'm all about right now, and creating, inclusive spaces, because we all come from such different backgrounds, and there's no reason why in this world we need to have so much division. If we're coming
Yes.
from a place of love, we can coexist together. So that's a bit
Yes.
about what I'm up to in the world.
Excellent. And of course, I would love to hear more about intimacy coaching because that's important. I think if more people had that, it would be a better world. And a lot of the women that I work with, they already lead and guide a whole space. And that's the work that you have been doing for years. So if you can talk more about your 8-day pilgrimage, and I think people need to understand it's a pilgrimage, not a retreat, not I if I hear another person talk about a wellness retreat and I'm like, no, this is a pilgrimage. That changes the game on what we are able to do. So if you want to talk a little bit more about that, because I'm super interested.
Yeah, I'm taking women to the south of France. And the reason why this matters so much, and what I guess it sets it apart from a retreat to a pilgrimage, is it's about devotion.
Mhm.
And it's really not about devotion to Mary Magdalene. We're going to sites where Mary Magdalene visited and taught, and but she went to those sites because they were already like sacred energy sites, places of pagan worship, places of ancient goddess worship. And so the intention is to go in devotion to oneself and devotion to one's own inner priestess or inner authority, and in devotion to one's pleasure. And
Yes.
so there'll be a mix of going and visiting these sacred sites and sitting in circles and around fires or in caves, or
Yes.
nude bathing in under stars in sacred water pools and things, but to share in our expanding our capacity for pleasure. And that's
Mhm.
the whole focus. The goal is that women who are leaders and who are regularly holding others, we know we need spaces where we get to be refilled and recharged. And the goal is to go home like your cup is full and running over, so that you can re-engage with all of your work from that place.
Excellent. Excellent. And when you talked about Mary Magdalene, and we discuss this off site, but a lot of times, depending on the type of religion that you worship or you were raised in or you learned about, you hear very different things about Mary Magdalene, and what her role is. But for women, a lot of time, women who are more informed, we realize the important role she played in the life of Jesus. um we hear about the disciples. I went to Catholic school, so I know all about the disciples, and I know all about Mary, the mother of God. But Mary Magdalene is almost looked upon in a negative way because of the way that history has been changed. So can
Mhm.
you talk a little bit about the idea of Magdalene, and why you feel it's very important to this pilgrimage?
Yeah, I think that so many women, when you start to really understand the power that she held and the vital role that she played, and you recognize how invisible that is to the majority of humankind right now, it relates in this. It makes me emotional because it relates. It cuts into this deep place inside of us. Like, I also have felt like a secondary character most of my life. And I also have felt like my greatest gifts are not actually wanted, or even shunned. And so understanding her story and the different ways that her story has been kind of hidden from us, it's like, oh my gosh, it gives me this fire and this fuel to be like, I'm not going to live like that. I'm not going to live in this hidden, suppressed way with wealth. There's high potential that she helped fund the ministry.
Yes.
And we don't know about them. We don't see these images of ancient, women of wealth and power in that way, of sexuality, that
Yeah.
there's a high chance that the innermost relationship that she had with Christ is part of what helped him to propel his ministry and even potentially cause his resurrection, because we know that Mary was trained in like ancient Egyptian mystery schools. And so the archetype of uh, a goddess resurrecting her husband is found in Isis and her husband. And like, we don't ever hear these kinds of things. And so it's like this fire in me. And additionally, we don't know what color or what ethnicity Mary Magdalene was, but we get this white image, and we
Yes.
get a lot of she's been so sanitized, and so
Mhm.
have all women today. And
Yes.
the majority of us now get to live in the privilege to live out our fullest expression of ourselves in wealth, in sexuality,
Yes.
in our spiritual gifts and things. And so I just think there's this power in connecting to her. And then what she's done for me is opened up the door and relationship to a lot of other female archetypes or ancient goddesses that
Yeah.
also unlock all this permission, like permission to be in the most full version of myself. And it brings me so much joy. I just want all women to feel that.
Yes. You are changing the game by saying a lot of the stuff that you just said. Um, and I'm never mad about changing the game because it engages people to have more conversations as it pertains to religion, sexuality, womanism, because a lot of times throughout history, most of the men who have been successful, there was a woman involved, and it's not always known what her involvement is. So I truly believe this pilgrimage is going to not only expose some women who thought they knew about the life of Mary Magdalene, but
Mm.
what it means to the overall success of relationships with men, relationships within families, and our role in society.
Yeah.
Women's roles are always downplayed in society, and it's up to us to bring those stories forward. And I know you're doing it with this pilgrimage, with our book, we're doing it. But I also want people to understand, people who are watching this video, especially people of color, women of color who have always been taught a certain way or who are very spiritual. This does not change what you know and believe. It just opens your eyes to something else. And as a Black woman, a lot of times we're taught, oh, you got to be careful. You don't want to do things spiritually that may interfere with your relationship with God. But this is just expanding that as well. So I don't want women of color, especially Black women, to feel like, oh, I can't be a part of that because it's not what I've been taught. Again, so much of this is what we've been taught and been trained to believe. And these are an opportunities. A pilgrimage like this is an opportunity to expand your knowledge and come back and share it with somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying about, like, there's no guru. There's no guru leading this pilgrimage. And I intend to lead the container. For me, that's one of my most important roles, is leading the container where no one is projecting their beliefs onto anyone else. All of the things I just said are possibilities because we don't actually know. We have no idea, and we don't have a lot of historical evidence that really points to, yes, it was like this, or it's not a historical vacation. That's not what it is. And so there's room for everyone to bring their beliefs and everyone to express, for me, this is what this activates or awakens in me. And that is so powerful when we can sit in a room and say, like, I'm so glad that you're choosing this thing that empowers you. How can I celebrate you in your belief, even if it's completely different from mine?
And that's important. And that may sway people from not attending. And I want people to hear what you just said. It doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are. This is an opportunity to learn and explore and expand what you already know and bring it back and and teach somebody else about it. And the one thing I do love is you talk about pleasure as medicine. What does that look like on your retreat? Pleasure as medicine.
Well, the hope is that everyone who comes has a little bit of at least a knowledge, at least a cognitive awareness that pleasure is more than just the reward. So many of us live our lives like, okay, if I grind and hustle for a good 30 to 40 years, maybe 50 years, then I'll retire and eventually I'll get to experience pleasure in my life. And you're a great example of, like, realizing this system's broken. I'm going to die before I ever reach that point if I don't make some changes. I'd love for you to share a little bit more of your story because it's so powerful.
Yes. So talking about that 30, 40, I'm like, oh my God, I've probably been working that long. And a lot of us in leadership positions are working that grind where you're just constantly going. And you figure, if I can't do it, it can't be done. So that was me. Type A personality. I'm doing everything with my family, at work, personal life, not as important. But my body was telling me something was wrong, and I was justifying, oh, I'm stressed out, I'm tired, I need more sleep. And in the meantime, my whole right side of my body was shutting down. I couldn't write, I was having headaches, My right eye wasn't blinking. Me and my cousin joked about this the other day because she said, "I'm looking right at you and your eye is not blinking. Is your eye dry?" And I'm like, "No," but still not missing a day of work, driving to work sick, and it took me to a point that I almost could not walk. I could not write. Then I went to the doctor, got an MRI, and they told me I had to immediately have surgery. Do not go home. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You need to go directly to the hospital and have surgery. And at that moment, I realized it doesn't matter what my position is, what work wasn't done, nothing mattered. I had to go have surgery, and the rest of that had to be figured out on the back end. And if you don't prepare yourself in advance and listen to your body when it's telling you, you don't have to worry about it. It'll all be over with. My phrase I will always say is sit down before you get sat down. I got down for 6 months. I got sat down for 6 months. I couldn't call anybody and say, "Hey, did you do that report?" I couldn't ask anybody to take care of something. It didn't matter. And at the end of the day, until I started taking care of myself, I would have been gone. I literally would have died if I had not listened to my body. It could have been a couple of days. It could have been a couple of weeks. And how many women right now are suffering headaches, throwing up? Body is telling them you need to slow down. And I got one more thing to do. Let me just finish this one thing. You may not make it to that one thing. So if you don't take the time to listen to your body and give your body the time it needs to heal and rest, you won't have to worry about it. Somebody else will be spending your money, spending your life insurance money, or you can invest in yourself now, in your well-being, and things like your 8-day pilgrimage to help build the life that you know you deserve to have because you've worked to have it. You lead, you guide other people, you're there for everybody in your family. It's time to be there for yourself. So I have no problem now, after almost dying, to take the time I need to take vacations, to rest, to do the things that are fulfilling for me so that I'm a better person for everyone else in my life, but more so for myself.
Yeah, and I think that it really does kind of tie back to what we were saying about, this image of Magdalene was sanitized, and colonization and all of these things put women into this box where it's like, work hard, be invisible, do everything for everyone, never ask for credit, never take time for yourself, never take up too much space. And so we're really shifting a paradigm right now by saying, actually, if I don't put myself first, I can't really be there for everyone. And also, what is the point? Like, what is the point to live and work and die like that?
And someone can say, she was so nice, but I don't want to live the life that she lived. Because a lot of times people admire what you do and they don't want to do it. And they'll say, "Oh, I can never do that." Yeah, because they don't have to. You're doing it.
Yeah.
They don't have to. You got it. And that was very difficult for me because I have always been a control freak.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I can't do it, nobody can. Guess what? If I can't do it, it'll get done, and it'll get done the best way that it can. And I've come to the realization, and I tell my staff this all the time: do not come to me unless the building is on fire or somebody died. And I say, but if it's a fire, call 911. And if somebody has died, call the medical examiner, because there's really not anything we can do. Like, when you start to analyze things in that way, you realize everything is not urgent. Everything does not require a response right away. And some things can wait.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a similar experience to you. But it came through a vision. My little wake up call with this. I didn't have to go through the physical, like,
That's good
that you went.
You're not hard-headed.
but I did. I had a vision once, and it was actually one of the most terrifying experiences I've ever had. And in the vision, I was this tree, and I had these huge branches, and each branch represented my children, my spouse, my work, and all of the different things that I have felt responsible for. And I'm holding it all. And in the vision, each one broke away,
Oh,
including each child, everything broke
wow.
away. And then I got buried. And then what was crazy was I watched everything just keep going. And suddenly I was watching like everything happening as if I had died. And it was like, look at that. It was a little bit disheartening because I was like, I thought I was the center of the universe. I thought everything depended.
Yes, yes. And life goes on.
And really, yeah. And then there was also this liberation that came with that of like, you seriously can loosen the grip a little bit. Like, because if you died tomorrow,
Yes.
everything will continue. And so so going back to your question about what does pleasures medicine look like actually
Yes.
on this retreat, I want to give women this opportunity. It's like you're far away from home, you're in this container, nothing else matters, you can't possibly answer emails or do anything.
Yes.
Let's expand your capacity for how much pleasure you can possibly
Oh,
receive.
nice.
And so activities look like, sensual pleasure and touch and dance and somatic movement and sharing from our stories. And there absolutely will be processing that happens on this pilgrimage. There has to be a bit of destruction in order for us to carve space to receive more and expand our capacity. But the hope is that everybody goes home feeling like, oh my goodness, there are things that I didn't even know I like love and enjoy, and I'm going to start weaving them into my
Yes.
everyday, because pleasure really is the strategy to creating all the things that we want to create and the magic that we came here to give to the world and the impact we came to make. So it really is a leadership retreat. It's just that
Yes.
we're going about it from the back end. It's not a conference. It's an embodied, experiential. Let's see how deep we can go into our
Yes.
senses, into our pleasure, and into our fullest, like our fullest inner authority.
And that's different than most women are used to participating in, especially women in leadership roles. We spend
Yeah.
a lot of times in leadership retreats, you know, different conferences to become a better leader instead of spending the time you need to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And again, wellness is a tagline right now. Everybody's all about the wellness and the wellness retreats, but this is on another level. So, what do you hope a woman remembers about herself by the time she leaves the south of France, besides it being beautiful and she's had plenty of pleasure?
Mm, there's something really important about going to sacred sites,
Mhm.
about going to places where like the stones remember who you are, maybe even a little deeper than you do.
Yes.
And so I hope that each woman will go home like really more connected to those ancient codes that live in our bones, in our cells, in our DNA, that we feel more empowered by our ancestry, that we feel more empowered by our lived experiences, and that we really recognize this like when I'm connected to my pleasure, I am actually my most powerful.
Yes. Yes.
That's what I really hope everyone will go home with.
You are really changing the narrative. We are not taught that as women,
Nope.
especially women of a certain age. Younger women maybe. I'm a little more seasoned than the younger ladies. But one of the things that you pointed out was pleasure isn't a reward; it's a compass. And if we led with that, the same way you can lead with love and peace instead of chaos, your decisions will be different. You're really inspiring me to include more pleasure in my life. And people may want to assume that pleasure is all sexual. You are not just talking about sexual pleasure.
Exactly. Yeah. And really like our turn on, it goes to a conversation about Eros, which we're launching a book called Embracing Your Eros in like a
Okay.
week and a half here, as well. So I've been holding these frequencies of priestess and
Yes.
Eros for the
Yes.
last year. And
Okay.
I feel like that has absolutely like been working in me in order to like bring all of that to this pilgrimage. But it really is about your Eros. Eros is
Okay.
really your connection to vitality, your connection to your erotic, your turn on. It is your sexuality, but it's not, we're not going there and having orgies. we're, we're going there and tapping
Yes.
into that in a way that we are giving ourselves permission, maybe in deeper ways than we have before, and in community and in sisterhood where we can be fully celebrated in that. Um, I remember I had this one experience early on when I was dating my husband, and he and I were sharing a mango together, and we weren't married yet, and I was a virgin, and I was like, there was no expression of pleasure that felt allowed besides smiling and laughing. Anything beyond that was
Yes.
humiliating. But I hadn't had very many mangoes in my life, like maybe like 3 times, and I'm having this mango, and I just love mangoes, and I was getting so into it, and I was like, oh, this is so good. I was probably moaning, and, and he started teasing me about it, which was all just in the spirit of fun. But because
Right.
of the way my conditioning was, I was like, I felt so much shame, and I locked that shit up for years.
Yes.
Like, no one can see me in that kind of pleasure. So this is our opportunity to really
Yes.
be in
Yes.
that. And what that creates is like a deeper closeness with our nervous system, a deeper connection to our inner yes and no. Like the more that we feel into our inner yes, the more we'll have deep clarity about our inner no. And we spend so much time bypassing that stuff. When really like you said, our bodies are speaking. So,
Yes.
I've loved this conversation,
I
Karina.
just we can go on and on because there's so many ways we could take this, but I like how you just said about your inner yes. Say that again. You said it. Can you say it again? That really stuck.
That the more you get to know your inner yes, the more your inner no becomes so clear. So
Yes.
really, and vice versa. And so
Yes.
that's kind of another secret agenda, is that women will walk away feeling like, oh my goodness, like I've been saying yes to some stuff that's like cluttering up the space, and my
Yes.
body's already been telling me this for how long?
So I just needed to go hear it, and feel it. And a lot of this is going to be about feeling. And I think that makes a difference too. It's not necessarily taking notes or things like that. It's about you actually feeling this entire experience. And it's a very intimate, it's only going to be 20 people, correct?
Yep,
Yes.
exactly.
Very intimate. And that's in September 3rd through the 10th. Super excited. So can you share information how people can sign up?
Yes, you can always reach out to me. You can always email me at mk@melisakeenan.com. You can also go check out the landing page. It's I'm going to have to post the links in some places, but it's Magdalene Codes at Orion Retreats. And so but yeah, reach out to me and we can have a conversation, to be led by someone in this way for that amount of time. I would hope that you'll have a conversation with me
Yes.
before signing up and stuff, so that we can really feel into what are your needs and how can we make sure that you're getting exactly what you need from the experience. Thank you
Yes.
again so much, Karina, for this
Yes.
conversation. And I
Thank
hope we'll see
you.
you. I hope we'll see you on
Yes.
this
I'm looking
retreat.
at that date and it's looking like I might have to try to do it. It's, this is the environment has been a little crazy. These airports have been crazy. I just got back in town. I got back a day before the TSA and the storms and all that. And it's like,
Yeah.
I want travel to be easy. And
Yeah.
then I might go to South of France and might not want to come back. So that's a whole nother. I don't
I
know if I
love
have enough money to not come back yet. But yeah, we may have to work that out. I may have to sell some stock or something just in case.
Carina, do you have any offers that you're currently promoting or that you want anybody to know about, or ways that people can connect more deeply with you?
You can definitely check me out on Instagram at just Carina Jackson. And of course, our lives are all about promoting this book, The Modern Day High Priestess, the #1 international bestseller. So super excited about that. We have some book signings coming up. And these are women, 22 authors from around the world that are sharing their stories. So it's a very exciting time for us. A lot of things happen very quickly. I said I was out of the 22 people, I had my toe in the pool, and the day after the book release, everybody jumped in the pool. So I think I've joined you all in the pool now. At first, it was just my toe in there. I think I jumped in the pool. I don't think I submerged my head yet, but I'm in the pool with you guys.
I
I'm
love
super
it.
excited. I'm super excited. So thank you so much for this opportunity. And again, everybody reach out to Melisa. Go to her Instagram, Facebook. She has some great stuff. It is life-changing. The work you are doing is life-changing. So thank you, Melisa. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Carina, and you too. And thanks everyone for watching.
Yes.